Welcome, everyone. This is Dino Patijalal, Chairman and Founder of Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia, the largest foreign policy group in the country and in Southeast Asia. Today, we are very delighted to host this session on the economic prospects and business opportunities in China 2021-2022. As everybody knows, like the financial crisis in 2008, China is expected to be one of the big economies that will help pull the other economies out of the current predicament that we're all facing during the COVID-19 crisis. There's a lot of requests to FPCI and also to CADIN to hold a special session on China because a lot of people want to know how do we strengthen partnership with China. How do we expand trade and investment and other relations? This is precisely the purpose of this session, which is to update everybody on the latest economic and business development in China. And for that, we have 4 speakers who are well-versed in their field. One, of course, we're going to have the marvelous Sinta Kamdani, my good friend, the Vice Chairman of CADIN for Maritime Investment and Foreign Affairs. She is very well known as a foremost corporate leader in Indonesia, and she's very active. Every time we call her up, she always answers, and she always willing to present Indonesia's case. So thank you, Sinta Kamdani, for your presence. And then we also have our ambassador in Beijing, Ambassador Johari Orat Mangun, who is a professional diplomat of many years. He was previously ambassador to Russia and Director General to ASEAN. And he is very active in trying to promote two-way business opportunities between Indonesia and China. So we're very happy to have him. And then we'll have Jennifer Liu, who is the Secretary General of China ASEAN Business Council, which is an organization which is very, very active in promoting business ties between China and ASEAN. So thank you for being here, Jennifer Liu. And last but not least, we have Mr. Ge Jun, who is the Global Chairman of Tojoy. Tojoy is the largest business platform for incubating business innovators in China. They have about 1.5 million members. Yeah, you didn't hear me wrong. 1.5 million members who are Chinese, mostly Chinese entrepreneurs. And they are really at the forefront of the pulse of Chinese business. And we're going to hear from Mr. Ge Jun on the from the private sector perspective, right? So I don't want to waste our time. I'm gonna ask Sinta Kamdani to open up, and then we're gonna go into our presentations. Yeah, and then there will be opportunity for the public to post your questions through the chat box. Yeah, Sinta, please. Thank you. Can you unmute? Can you unmute, please?
Okay, thank you, Dino. Your Excellency, Mr. Johari Orat Mangun, the Indonesian ambassador to the China and Mongolia. Of course, Ms. Jennifer Liu, Secretary General of China ASEAN Business Council, and also Mr. Ge Jun, the Global CEO of Tojoy. Good afternoon and greetings from Jakarta. Thank you for having me on behalf of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for this dialogue on economic forecasts and business opportunities in China 2021-2022. As usual, my good friend Dino always call me up last minute and to be able to share with you today. The past, I think, 1.5 years has been challenging for global economy and also for Indonesia due to the pandemic. I think as global economy is gradually recovering from the pandemic, none have a stronger economic rebound, obviously, than China. And China's economic contraction only lasts for one quarter in the pandemic, while the rest of the world have to deal with the technical recession throughout 2020. Even to date, I think China economic forecasts remain one of the strongest in the region, with strong consumer confidence index, strong PMI, and an overall growth projected by IMF to reach 8% in 2021 and 5% in 2022, despite maintaining strict pandemic control policies on any sign of pandemic reemergence. Now, what does China and domestic economic dynamics has anything to do with Indonesia? It has a lot of correlations. China is Indonesia's biggest trading partner with about 20% of Indonesia global export is absorbed by China in 2020, an increase of 13.6% compared to 2019, despite the pandemic. Even on quarterly basis, Indonesia export to China continuously increases. That Indonesia export to China in quarter two 2021 has reached up to 12.23 billion US dollar, almost double our average quarterly export to China in the past 4 years. And China is also Indonesia's top investors, with about 25% of Indonesia inbound FDI until quarter two 2021 coming from China and Hong Kong. China investment in Indonesia is also evenly spread across all business sectors, making China as our business partner in almost every aspect of the economy. China even assists us on our own pandemic control through vaccine cooperation. Suffice to say, China is an important partner with which we share our prosperity through our economic relations. The deeper and closer we are to each other, the more we share our economic development and prosperity, the more we benefit from one another. I believe that 2022 Indonesia and China economy will still be entangled together. First, Indonesia and China are set to be an even closer regional partner in 2022 thanks to the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or what we know of RCEP, which is expected to be in effect next year upon ratification. RCEP creates greater market access to trade and investment between Indonesia and China beyond that we have today under the ASEAN-China FTA. With RCEP, Indonesia and China will be able to tap into economic cooperation we have not touched upon before, such as in e-commerce, telecommunication, financial services, as well also to facilitate MSME to regional supply chain. According to studies, if Indonesia can utilize the RCEP well to improve our trade and investment activities with our regional partner, including China, Indonesia could enjoy a welfare gain of 1.52 billion US dollar and increase GDP by 0.05% per annum until 2032, and an export growth of 7.2% thanks to Indonesia's role in the regional GVC under RCEP. Second, I think pandemic will still be looming over the global economic recovery as well as Indonesia economic recovery in 2022. Despite the strong global trajectory towards recovery, we must admit that 2022 is also a year of uncertainty due to the uneven pandemic control across the world and the weakened momentum of economic rebound. If most countries still provide strong government support towards recovery, most of this support will be exhausted or significantly diminished in 2022 due to the limitation to government financing capabilities. Most emerging economies like Indonesia will no longer be able to provide much economic stimuluses due to accumulating public debt and heavy current account deficit in the past 2 years of the pandemic. Thus, economic recovery will heavily rely on domestic productivity and demand normalization, as well as countries' capability to tap into global market potential through improved trade and investment performance. Third, technology will be an even bigger part of our life and our economy as digitalization will spread to almost all aspects of our daily life and accelerated the adoption of Industry 4.0 will be crucial to Indonesia economic competitiveness in the post-pandemic era. Although Indonesia may procure technology from many places and many supplies in the world, China has been a competitive alternative supplier of technology against Western-centric technology. Indonesia dependency on foreign technology, but it is also an opportunity to accelerate Indonesia technology adoption and Indonesia participation in technology manufacturing. In this context, I think Indonesia business capability to read China market trends and aggressivity to tap into China economic opportunity will be Indonesia key to strong economic recovery and growth in 2022 and beyond. I hope our resources person in this forum will be able to expose and highlight China market trends and real business opportunity that Indonesia can tap towards recovery and mutual growth by also utilizing our national instruments such as our new omnibus law, as well as our bilateral and regional cooperation framework that we have so far. I think by far Indonesia presence in China is not as strong as China presence in Indonesia. Kadin Indonesia perceived that Indonesia-China economic relation has so many rooms to grow. Thus, we in Kadin hope that this forum can also bring Indonesia business community to be more present and involved in China's economic activity through export, FDA, or business collaboration. I think with our, we have signed an agreement together with Toyjoy. Kadin and Toyjoy will be able to facilitate more business matching in this area. I hope that panelists will not only highlight the strategic economic potential for cooperation, but also the current and immediate business potential that we can work on as we speak. From vaccine co-production to energy supply chain, I believe Indonesia and China can support each other to recover together and recover stronger next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sinta. That was a very comprehensive, enlightening, and forward-looking exposure of Indonesia-China business and economic relations. And I want to highlight what you said, that there's a lot of Chinese business activities, but not enough of Indonesian business activities in China. And also you highlighted that, in fact, during the crisis and during the period of uncertainty ahead, China and Indonesia are getting even closer. And I think that's a very important point to underscore. So thank you very much, Sinta. And now I have the pleasure to give the floor to Ambassador Johari Oratmangun, our Indonesia's ambassador in China, who has been very active in promoting business cooperation between the two sides here. Ambassador Johari.
Thank you very much, Pak Dino. Pak Dino, Mr. Gejun, Jennifer, Ibu Sinta, a very good afternoon from Beijing. I just met Jennifer last week. Gejun, I visited his office like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then I stayed there for almost 3 hours. And of course, this is a great opportunity as well for me to at least inform you the latest information about cooperation between China and Indonesia. Of course, thank you to the FPCI for organizing this forum and for having me as one of the speakers today and to share about the economic cooperation between Indonesia and China. I think I need to congratulate Pa Rosan first because he was inaugurated today as ambassador to the United States. He was the one who initiated the cooperation, and with you, Dino, with Toyjoy. So I need to congratulate him. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, I think we already established our relationship with China since April 13, 1950. So it's already 71 years old. And then we established or accelerated our cooperation to become comprehensive strategic partnerships since October 2nd, 2013. And then from 2018, we synergizing a Belt and Road Initiative and Global Maritime Forum, a number of corporations under a framework of GMF and BRI, such as for economic corridors, Medan, North Sumatra, North Kalimantan, Bali, and then North Sulawesi. And then, of course, Jakarta-Bandung high-speed train. Hopefully, it's going to be inaugurated by before the end of next year. And then the latest one is the two countries twin parks. I was at Fuzhou a few months ago to inaugurated the two countries twin park. And then it's now within that framework, we can witness now the increase of the cooperation between Indonesia and China, as already mentioned by Bu Sinta a few minutes ago. But let me give you the latest one. In trade relation, of course, China is our biggest trading partners, and from the data that we recently received from the custom in China, our volume of trade already reached 78.5 billion US dollar, or increased by almost 13% if you compare to last year, year-on-year basis. Because last year, 2020, our volume of trade until December was 78.5. Sorry. And now since January to August, it's already 74.2 billion US dollar. So we are still cross our finger that we will hit 100 billion US dollar by the end of this year. In fact, this is the target for the 2025. Hopefully we can reach by the end of this year. Our export, in fact, increased by 52.35% if you compare to the last year. And then the volume of import from China in this period reached 37.5 billion. So we were able to close the trade deficit between two countries by almost 70%. And then, of course, already mentioned by Bu Cynthia as well, that investment value last year, 4.84 realization billion US dollar. And then from January to August already reached almost 2 billion US dollar. I think China is number 2. Hong Kong is number 3. So if we add Hong Kong and China, or China and Hong Kong, I think it's already hit more than 4 billion US dollar. Of course, a potential economic cooperation between Indonesia and China. Foreign trade is still a key driver of China's economic resilience. In spite of ongoing pandemic, China custom data show that China imports and export managed to sustain a positive growth for 15 consecutive months. And then according to the World Bank, China economy is projected to grow by 8.5% in 2021, or increase by 0.4 points from its April projection. Without losing this momentum, we just last week here, Indonesian Embassy, organized a business forum here in Beijing, attended by offline around 200 something, and then online 400 something, in order to promote the investment between two countries. We organized the same event as well 2 weeks ago in Shanghai. In this forum, we highlighted the sectors of cooperation that are thriving and going to shape the post-pandemic era. Number 1 is green economy. Number 2 is health infrastructure. Recently, I did the roadshow on health infrastructure cooperation. I visited some of the biotechnology and medical devices company here. And then number 3 is digitalizations. I think our friend from Tojo will elaborate it further on the digitalization. On green economy, China and Indonesia have shared the same aspiration to reduce the use of fossil fuel. Indonesia, I think we already set a target of reaching 23 renewable energy utilization by 2025. 2025 is only 4 years from now, and 31% by 2050. And then while China already commits to carbon neutral before 2060. And then China itself already leading as well in renewable energy. I recently had a conversation with some of them, and then what whatever in a project called green, and then there will be a green light as well from the government to support that project. So China will give a priority on the solar and wind energy. Now we are working on the solar and wind energy as well to bring to Indonesia, and has become largest outbound investor in the said sector. In the light of having the same aspirations and needs, both China and of course Indonesia have the potential to complement each other and work together to achieve the green energy goals. On the context of the health cooperation, of course, Bu Sinta already elaborated on the health cooperation. I think just to refresh our memory, we started to talk to the vaccine company here last year, March, and then met them in May. And then since then, we've been able to meet all of the biggest vaccine producers here in China, started from Sinovac, Sinopharm. Even yesterday, I had Friday, I had a afternoon meeting with the Sinopharm, Anhui, and then CanSino, and some of the leading vaccine companies here as well. If you look at the number, more than 200 million doses from China already entered Indonesia. And then during the early stage, and even during the month of June and July, when the new variant hit Indonesia, Chinese government, China's private sector, donating as well medical supplies to Indonesia, such as oxygen generator, etc. So the spirit of cooperation in health sector is also reflected by the signing of the MOU between Indonesia's Food and Drug Authority, BPOM, and China National Medical Products Administration, MMPA, in order to strengthen the regulatory cooperation of pharmaceutical products and cosmetics. This MOU will become a vessel for many more new investment opportunities in Indonesia's health sector. Last week, I met at least 5 of the medical devices companies here, and then I'm going to visit some of them in the weeks to come. I do believe that after the visit of the State Councilor Wang Yi to Indonesia, and then the visit of Ibu Menlu and Pak Luhut and Pak Erick to China recently, only a few months ago, in which they agreed that we should be able to make Indonesia as a manufacturer hub for vaccine and medical advices in Southeast Asia. Within this context, that better cooperation will be pursued in the very near future. On the digitalization, I think Indonesia is the 6th largest internet user. It's experiencing digital transformation as well. And we witness every day, we follow through media, and I think all of you in Jakarta witness as well what is going on in Indonesia. And of course, Indonesia has established a number of cooperation in the digital sectors with other countries, to include China, one of the biggest players in the world now. In this sector, Indonesia and China already collaborated in some projects, such as establishing a center for IT research and development in Kura-Kura Island in Bali, and then launching an INA Mall, IDN store, Indonesian pavilion at the JD.com here, at the Kue Shao, and at the Ping Tua Tua, etc. Giving IT education, vocational training. We just did it one this weekend. And then in this endeavor, of course, Indonesia has engaged with a number of outstanding companies in China. Of course, Tojoy, I already visited Tojoy headquarters here in China 2 times, met chairman of Tojoy many times. ByteDance is located here in Beijing. ByteDance in Indonesia, famous as a TikTok. I think we have an Indonesian working at 5 Indonesian work in ByteDance here in Beijing. Meituan, Alibaba and Financial, Jumore, JD.com, Baidu, Tencent, Kuaishou. Kuaishou we know in Indonesia as a snack video. So in closing, I hope that my short presentation can give you a comprehensive understanding of the economic cooperation between Indonesia and China nowadays. The pandemic has revealed to us a room for further collaboration as well. So hopefully, through this forum, could become a platform for us to discuss more about the potentials that we can explore in the very near future together between Indonesia and China. And of course, once again, thank you very much, and I'm open for any questions and discussions.
Thank you, Ambassador Johari. And that was, again, another proof that during the time of crisis, there's actually more ways to seize business opportunities between Indonesia and China. And I particularly note that you are optimistic that we're going to reach $100 billion trade between Indonesia and China. So I think that's quite phenomenal. I don't think we ever hit $100 billion with any country in our history. So good luck, and we hope that you will reach that target. Next, we have the viewpoint from China. We have the Secretary General of China ASEAN Business Council, Jennifer Liu, who will discuss the Chinese perspective on business opportunities in China. Jennifer.
Okay, thank you. Distinguished His Excellency Ambassador Johari and distinguished Dr. Dino and dear all guests, good afternoon. Mr. Xu Ningning, Executive President of the CBC, bring his warmest regards to you all because he's on a business trip, so he entrusts me to attend this meeting. At the same time, we seriously thanks for the Ambassador Johari, because he is always positive roles to promote China and Indonesia's works, and also give us the CBC's support. Thank you very much. And let me to start my points. Since the COVID-19 pandemic has swept the world in the past 2 years, China has been committed to putting the peoples in the first place, coordinating the prevention and control of the epidemic and economic and the social development, nurturing the new opportunities from the crisis, taking the strict precautions against imported cases, and as well as expanding the cooperation. China has the successful way to deal with the epidemic, innovating the new development pattern and maintaining the growth. First, implementing the dual circulation development pattern. Since China's new dual circulation development pattern was proposed in the April 2020, combined with China's 14th five-year plan, China has adhered to the expansion of domestic demand as the basis for the development, accelerated the cultivation of the completed domestic demand with the deepening supply side structural reforms, lead and created the new demand with the innovation-driven, high-quality supply, and accelerate the establishment of the dual circulation development pattern in which domestic economic circle plays a leading role, while international economic circle remains its extension and the supplement. China has taken the lead in resuming work and production during the period of the prevention and the control of the epidemic, ensuring the supply in the international markets at the same time. The strong domestic demand market has also contributed to the recovery of the global economy. The dual circulation development pattern proposed by the Chinese government is not only for the sustainable development of the Chinese economy, but also for the sustainable development of the regional and even international economies. China's economy is realized is an open state. That is to say, China's economic development is inclusive development, not only internally, but also externally. Second, be ready for effectiveness of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. RCEP was signed in November last year. In terms of the trade in goods, RCEP's preferential tariff covered the 1.4 trillion US dollars worth of the annual import and export trade between China and the ASEAN members. The 3 months after the signing of the RCEP, at the 3 States Councils executive meetings held in China, Premier Li Keqiang made arrangements to speed up the process of the domestic implementation of the RCEP and implement the China's in-depth promotion of the high-level institutions opening. In order to promote the industry's cooperation among RCEP member states, jointly promote the implementation of the RCEP arrangements. China-ASEAN Business Council, together with the Chamber of Commerce and Enterprises of the 15 RCEP member states, looked the lead to establish the RCEP Industry Cooperation Committee, RCEP ICC, which is an industry cooperation mechanism. The inauguration ceremony of the establishment of the RCEP ICC was held online and on-site in Beijing in April this year. At the meeting, commercial representatives of the embassies of ASEAN countries, as well as the Australia, New Zealand, in China, started the launching ceremony of the RCEP ICC together. We believe that the RCEP will bring a lot of the new business opportunities to regional economic cooperation. Second, China's economy still has the highlights in the face of the multiple risks and the challenges. China's under the volatile situation of the global epidemic, China's consumer markets has recovered. The population of the manufacturing increased, high-tech manufacturing grew rapidly, and the contribution rate of the services industry growth to economic growth continue to increase, invigorating the Chinese economic growth. The industry economy recovered steadily. In the first 3 quarters, the added volume of the industry above designated size increased by 11.8% year-on-year. In the first 3 quarters, the added value of the high-tech manufacturing industry increased by 20% year-on-year, and the output of the industrial robots and integrated circuits increased by 57.8% and 43% respectively. China's foreign trade remains strong. Resilience along the global supply unhindered. In the first 3 quarters of this year, imports and exports of the goods trade increased by 22.7% year-on-year. The world cannot do without the Chinese markets or the Chinese factories. China has promoted reforms in key areas through the institutional innovation and has continued to make the efforts in improving the modernization of the industry chain, advancing the digitalization and the green transformation. In January, China placed the piano with the 10 fingers and strives to achieve the balances of lax and rigid, internal and external, and short-term and long-term in national economic governance. From January to September this year, China-ASEAN trade maintained the growth reaching the $630.5 billion US, the year-on-year increase of 31.1%. China and ASEAN trade accounted for 14.4% of the Chinese total foreign trade. China and ASEAN are reached others' largest trading partners. Third, the China-Indonesia economic, trade and investment cooperation continue to heat up. The inaugural meeting of the China and the Indonesia high-level dialogue cooperation mechanism was held on June this year. The two sides identified the 5 key areas of cooperation, including the political security, epidemic and public health, trade and investment, cultural exchange, and maritime cooperation. It is charted the blueprint for the development of our future relations and practical cooperation against the backdrop of the epidemic. China and Indonesia are important economic and trade partners, and their economies are highly complementary. The expansion of the economic and trade cooperation between China and Indonesia is beneficial to the economic growth of the two countries and the regional economic recovery. Fourth, the ASEAN or the Indonesia can enhance the cooperation with China, Central and the Western regions. Many provinces and cities in China and the ASEAN countries are complementary in economic and trade. The 10 ASEAN countries have different levels of economic development. Similarly, the China's Eastern, Central, and the Western regions are also at different stages of the development. Cooperation between the two sides are complementary and easy to find. The same applies to further cooperation between China and Indonesia. Dear guests, at the present, China and ASEAN continue to expand their cooperation in jointly coping with the unfavorable factors, restricting the development and jointly promoting the development of regional economic potential. The RCEP, which is scheduled to take effect in January next year, is bringing more development opportunities and more room for development. It is recommended that all parties seek synergetic development, take active actions, and jointly promote the mutually beneficial cooperation. CPC is ready, as always, to help China and Indonesia move forward in economic and trade cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer, for your very comprehensive overview of ASEAN-China relations and also China-Indonesia economic relations. And I note your point at the end that all of us need to be able to seize the opportunities presented by RCEP. So let's hope that that will happen well. So last but not least, we have Mr. Ge Jun, the global chairman of Tojoy, and I'm happy to give you the floor, Mr. Ge Jun. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Hello, everyone from Beijing. Before I start, please allow me to thank the foreign policy community of Indonesia for inviting me to speak with you today. It is my great pleasure. My gratitude also goes to our distinguished guest speakers, Ambassador Zhou, Secretary General Liu, Ms. Kandani, and certainly Dr. Dino. Thank you for your time and for your support. First, I would like to share a little bit more about my background because it's relevant to my speech later. I spent almost my entire career in the high-tech industry. You know, about 20 years with Intel, 4 years with Apple, and more than a year with NVIDIA. In April 2019, I decided to move on to work for a Chinese multinational company, Tojoy. This is a company founded in 1991. It has dedicated its entire history to building up a platform to serve the needs of entrepreneurs. Now with near 3,000 employees, it is the largest private business accelerator in China. Now Tojoy has offices in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hong Kong, and 36 cities around the country. And outside China, it has offices in New York, Paris, Mexico City, and Belgrade. So what excited me most is the successful business model of Tujoy. Tujoy's business model of sharing, or great sharing, as I call it. Through its online and offline platforms, Tujoy connects innovative projects, services, and unique commodities from China and of course abroad, with more than 1.5 or 1.6 million Chinese entrepreneurs, member entrepreneurs across the country. By connecting and then working together, such innovative projects, services, or commodities can access China's nationwide market very rapidly. So I will talk a bit more about Tujoy later, but this explains why I decided to take on a new challenge following about 25 years of global executive roles in Intel, Apple, and NVIDIA. Now back to our topic today, business opportunities in China during this still very difficult time and beyond. The global economy recovery remains uneven and unstable as well, amid many challenges in 2021. But as you know, China did exceptionally well. From January to September, China's GDP achieved a year-on-year growth of 9.8%. However, the world is still facing global supply and logistics shortage, regional virus outbreaks from time to time, and even many climate-related challenges. Now for China though, China did remarkably well in general. This also means many new circumstances, new situations. So if we zoom out a bit, we also see that China faces numerous issues, such as the imbalance between different regions, anti-globalization implications, digitization, and sustainable development. To seize the opportunities and answer the challenges these conditions present, China has implemented a number of solutions. In its 14th five-year plan, as Jennifer earlier mentioned, the 14th five-year plan is the blueprint for the nation to develop in the next 5 years. China brought up 3 major initiatives, which I think is important for people to understand. And I like to spend a bit time to discuss a bit. These 4 major initiatives include the dual circulation strategy, Jennifer elaborated a bit earlier, and a new infrastructure campaign, as well as the carbon neutrality goal. So these are the 3 major initiatives. Now let's first look at China's dual circulation strategy. Now the idea is quite simple. By strengthening the symbiosis between domestic and international circulation patterns, both will see benefits. As to domestic circulation, China aims to accomplish 4 primary objectives. Now, first of all, strengthen weak links in production, as you can see from the foil. What does this mean? This means shoring up support for innovation and investment in key tech sectors, such as semiconductors, new materials, and biomedicine. You may also have heard that China recently opened up a new stock market in Beijing. This stock market's goal is to help those innovative companies who can strengthen those weak links in China's production to grow. Now, second, emphasize fairness in distribution. China will promote market-oriented reforms to create a more fair distribution environment. In reaching the goal, China will improve the allocation of urban and rural resources and optimize the income distribution system. Now, the third one is to improve the efficiency of circulation. China will foster more city clusters and create regional growth poles to promote a coordinated economic development, reduce costs, and improve efficiency. You must have heard about the Big Bay Area in southern China, connecting 11 major cities, including Hong Kong, Macau, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, making the big Bay Area the second biggest Bay Area in the world, surpassing the New York Bay Area. Also, just a couple of days ago, Chinese central government announced a major policies to promote Chongqing and Chengdu, the two biggest cities in southwestern China, to become the dual engines of sustainable development in inner China. To improve the efficiency of domestic circulation, it also includes the improvements to the high-speed rail and the logistics systems. The fourth one is to continue expand the domestic demand through consumption. Taking advantage of China's largest consumer base, this aims to help cultivate an even larger domestic demand that will lead to high quality external supply and demand to gravitate back to China. So regarding international circulation, probably you can all tell China is opening wider to the outside world and has continuously upgrading its opening up policies. More free trade zones are being set up, and the new foreign investment law has been enforced in full effect. So after signing and rectifying the RCEP free trade agreement at the end of 2020, China is now officially applying to join the CPTPP and lead globalization. The application was made, I think, in mid-September. So with a complete manufacturing system and a huge consumption demand, China is keen to become a hub of international trade and consumption, which is very good, in my view, under the current global economic situation. So another important policy I like to mention in this context is that the government encourages mass entrepreneurship and mass innovation. Data shows that China's innovation-focused economic sectors are delivering great results. According to the Global Innovation Index 2020, released by the World Intellectual Property Organization, China maintained its overall ranking at 14th and was #1 among the upper middle income countries. This innovative business environment has led to huge increases in digital services and industrial upgrades throughout China. This includes advanced internet services, e-commerce, telemedicine, transport interconnectivity, and so much more. There is no doubt that the country's post-pandemic growth will be increasingly driven by digital innovation technologies such as 5G, AI, big data, cloud computing, and the Internet of Things. Businesses' investment in these areas are highly welcomed by the Chinese market. Okay, hope my explanation on the first major initiative under the 14th five-year plan above has given you some better understanding about what dual circulation strategy means and what possible opportunities it entails. Now, the second major initiatives under the 14th five-year plan is about more targeted investments in projects, namely new infrastructure, to facilitate innovation and development. So in short, the new infrastructure projects are focused in 7 key areas, 5G networks, industrial internet, intercity transportation, and the inner city rail systems, data centers, artificial intelligence, ultra high voltage technology, and the new energy vehicle charging stations. So according to UBS Research Institute, in the next 5 years, with the explicit policy support, China's new infrastructure investment will reach an annual growth rate of more than 15%, which is close to 3 times of China's GDP growth rate. An ecosystem around these developments will also grow. I think the incredible. If you are in this area of business, you will find better chances to enter Chinese market now than any time before. As a lot of analysis about China's opportunities have been focusing in these areas. I will not elaborate further here. Now, the last major initiative under the 14th Five-Year Plan is about carbon neutrality. On top of the economic development, China has set goals to aggressively reduce carbon emissions and lead the world in march towards carbon neutrality. The two aggressively stated goals under this initiative are to reach peak carbon emissions in 2030 and reach carbon neutrality by 2060. I believe this target will reshape the entire energy industry, to say the least. To be carbon neutral by 2060, China will require, and here's the number, impressive number. China will require 5x more nuclear power, 12x more wind power, and more than 70x more solar power. Now, with these massive projects, there is huge potential for related industries. So this move to carbon neutrality will again redefine the economic landscape. Central and Western China, where a large portion of solar and wind power will be generated, will see huge booms in coming months and years for them to upscale of clean energy. So by 2030, it is estimated that China's GDP will reach $20 trillion with carbon neutrality and new energy projects adding around 2.5% growth to this total each year. So we are now aware of the businesses, opportunities. I think a natural question arises, how to effectively do business in China. Of course, there are many ways to cut it and many steps to take. But in my 30 years experience doing business on behalf of Intel, Apple, NVIDIA in China, and now Tujoy, I like to share some ideas related to 3 key steps, which are most critical in doing business in China. First, of course, establish the right strategic positioning for your business. Second, develop close partners. And last, how to land and expand in the country. Now, let me further explain on these points. On establishing strategic positioning, if your business is already quite successful in Indonesia or in the ASEAN country, I think the chance for you to become successful in China can be already quite high. To be successful, you must have ensured your businesses are positioned well. You are in high demand, you are different, you are unique, or you are competitive. Now, on the other hand, if your business is not that successful in Indonesia or other countries in ASEAN, it is outdated, it's shrinking, the chance for its success in China can be also low. Now, to enhance your chance of success, you may also need to understand the Chinese government policy a little bit more. China continues to use an investment catalog to encourage international trade and foreign investment. The catalog, updated on a regular basis, is used by the government to encourage some sectors of the economy while discourage or prohibit others. I just talked about the strategic positioning as the first step. So the next step is about finding and developing close partners. With technology development, business partner development is heavily dependent on platforms. Platform creates new business ecosystem. Think about it. Alibaba created a Taobao platform. Now over 1 million companies use this platform to attract business from hundreds of millions of consumers. That is the power of platform. So in fact, according to Harvard University's Thomas Eastman's study in 2016, about 70% of the world's top 100 unicorn companies win because they are operating on platforms. Now, platforms such as e-commerce platform, accelerator, incubator, or industrial park can also help foreign companies to develop partners, land and expand business in China. For example, with the help of cross-border e-commerce, you can sell your products to China without setting up offices or building up inventory in China. Now, if you provide even innovative services or sell unique products, accelerators will be your ideal partners. Now, Tujoy, the company I work for now, is a global business empowerment platform for both innovative companies and the traditional businesses. Tujoy unites the strengths of both. Just as I mentioned at the beginning, while scaling new innovative companies quickly through our one-of-a-kind business model, we also help upgrade the traditional businesses by allowing them to work with the new powers. Now, here's how we accomplish this mission. We identify promising businesses and help them to connect and quickly reach agreement with the right Chinese local partners. Now, with over 1.5 million high net worth entrepreneurs on Tujoy's platform, it is quite easy to find partners and get started in China right away. Innovative businesses just need to provide support and maybe supply brand, products, operational systems, and business model. The rest is taken care of by a principal local partner or a number of local partners. Now, let me use one example to illustrate this. Now, B&G is an online to offline maternal and child suppliers brand. It has 81 retail stores in November 2018. After joining the Tujoy platform, they are able to cooperate with thousands of entrepreneurs. The number of stores was expanded to over 8,000, and its market value grew from 0.2 billion RMB to 5.5 billion RMB. All of these happened within 19 months. Tujoy also helps innovative projects from China to expand in overseas market and vice versa. We have some criteria for overseas company selection to become our accelerated projects in China. Now, first, of course, the product or service has a China competitive edge on the market. Now, second, it has been proven to be successful in its home country. As I said, you have to be relatively successful in your home country before you can be successful, I think, in China. And the third, it can fit into the Chinese market and the policy system. And also, lastly, the business model can be replicated quickly across China by working together with the Chinese entrepreneurs on our platform, which is 1.5 million right now. Now, Tujoy has also formed strategic partners with many business associations, industrial parks, and investment institutions. These partnerships will help facilitate overseas projects, overseas unique commodities to land and expand in China quickly. So in short, as a global business empowerment platform, Tujoy can provide you one-stop service to enter and expand in China. So I know I'm approaching the end of my given time. I might just stop here and answer any question you may have in the later session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think the best takeaway from your presentation is that there is an opportunity for Indonesian business who want to enter into the China market, and Tujoy would be happy to help Indonesian businesses looking for a partner and looking to scale up their business in China, right? We have a few questions already, Mr. Gurjin, but I want to begin with a question from me regarding what you mentioned that China is applying to join CPTPP, and there has been opinions, and of course Jennifer Liu can pitch in on this as well. But there has been some who say that the CPTPP, because of its very high gold standards as a free trade agreement, you know, with such as in labor laws, environment standards, and so on, China may have a hard time meeting all those standards. Yeah. Do you think that's a fair comment? Yeah. Any response from you? Yeah.
Jennifer, you want to take this question?
Yeah, you need to unmute, Jennifer.
Yeah, I think that the CPTPP is a benefit for the China, even for the other countries. So from our Chinese side, we try our best to achieve these goals and to enter this CPTPP. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know that's a tough question because there's going to be a lot of hard and serious reforms that China will need to undertake in order to join the CPTPP, and you know, it's only the first step in what remains a long process. But there are those who argue, look, if Vietnam can join the CPTPP, and you know, Vietnam also has you know, some issues, then why not China, right? So there are those who say that as well, right? Another question that I want to ask you, you know, this tickles me, Gejun and Jennifer Liu, and also Ambassador Johari, if you want to answer this. The world is experiencing a COVID-19 crisis, right? Everywhere, including in Indonesia and China. And in much of the world, economic growth and business activities have been depressed because people stay home. The supply chain is disrupted. Consumption is disrupted. The normal way of doing things is no longer valid. You know, and confidence has declined. Yeah, but I just don't understand how is it in China the numbers keep going up. Yeah, the trade numbers, the growth numbers. You mentioned the manufacturing, and so on. Yeah. So what explains that? You know, I still don't have the answer. Right? Whereas many countries, all these numbers go down, but in China, it goes up. Yeah. What is the explanation to that?
Jae-yoon. From my side, I think the domestic factors as well. The domestic factors, domestic economy contributed to the rate of growth of China.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the for example, since China's new dual circulation development patterns was proposed, and the dual circulation development pattern in which domestic economic circle plays a leading role. Well, so the more and more provinces and cities, they try our best to find the cooperation with the ASEAN countries. And until now, the ASEAN is become the largest trading partner with the Shandong provinces. And a lot of the local government, they offer a lot of the preferential and priority policies for attractive the investment, and also encouragement the Chinese enterprises to go on businesses, to go on the ASEAN countries. For example, such as the Hunan provinces, the Shaoyang, just a small city. Now there are 50,000 people. They are involved businesses in Laos. And
okay.
Such as the, for example, from the China reform and opening up until today, the development of the relations between China's provinces and cities and the South Asia countries can be roughly divided into the 3 stages. The first stage is several provinces. They are close to Southeast Asia, such as Fujian, Guangdong, Guangxi, Hainan, and Yunnan. And they have a better understanding of the Southeast Asia country and a deeper relationship with each other. But the second stage is after the 1990, with the above mentioned provinces as the core, gradually extending the north and the south to the greater Yangtze River and the Pampeer River, and then to the Bohai and the economic circle in northwest of China. The third stage is after the entering the 21st century. The provinces is central and the west region provinces. And even the northwest region of China has gradually increased their interest in investment in Asian country and attracting the Asian investment, such as Guizhou provinces, Sichuan provinces, and Shanxi provinces.
Okay.
And they are all paying great attention to promote the economic and trade cooperation in the Asian country. So this is why even now is a pandemic period, why the China, the economic growth is rapidly and even better than before, because now the combining with the 14th China's 5 years plan and combining with the dual circulation, they do a lot of the policies.
Okay, got it.
To get
All right.
the support.
Let me add one more point here. I think the Chinese government has been really working hard to encourage businesses to continue investment in many sectors. I think it's totally understandable that when business got hit by crisis or by a disaster, a natural reaction would be to pull back and wait and see. But government has been encouraging companies to continue investment and continue expand. I think that policy direction has really helped. I can also use one example to explain that a more sort of positive reaction could bring remarkable business success. As I introduced earlier, I used to work for Intel as one of the executives for about 20 years. I still remember Craig Barrett, one of Intel's most respected CEOs. Once he said that you can never save yourself out of a crisis. We must keep on investment. Only through that, we can emerge stronger out of the crisis than we entered it. I think that is true. So when SARS virus actually hits China in 2003, Intel was in deep discussion with the government on a multi-billion RMB assembly and test facility investment. I was one of the leaders at that time in charge of the investment. Now, many executives and advisors told me that we should stop the investment and pull back. Yet I believed what Craig said and kept on moving forward. I still remember the days when I traveled from my work base in Hong Kong to Chengdu on those flights, where there were almost no passengers except myself, and I wore 2 masks. Our negotiation with the local partners, with the government, continued throughout the entire pandemic period at that time, with our masks on. But what was the end result? We become the most trusted foreign investor in the region. The facility became the best facility with the highest productivity and growth rate in Intel's global operations. My message here is very simple, and let me repeat what Dr. Craig Barrett told me. You can never save yourself out of a crisis. It is true that you may reassess your position during a crisis, but if you are in a good position to continue invest and expand, do that, and you will emerge stronger than others. China
Yeah.
market provides new and exciting opportunities during the pandemic. You really don't want to ignore that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there are a lot of questions asking about China's market, especially for fruits, frozen seafood, and coffee. And they're asking how they can export these goods to China. Anyone want to answer that?
Coffee, let me ask about coffee. Export of Indonesian coffee to China increased substantially in 2020 and from period January till August this year. And we are now, all of the Indonesian representative here, we are promoting coffee. So if you coffee producing are interested to enter the China market, not an easy market, to be honest with you, but you have to understand the regulation first. Number two, as already mentioned by Pak Gejun, you have to find local partners. Here we have Indonesia China Chamber of Commerce. They can facilitate that as well. Participated at the exhibitions here using e-commerce platform. One's been introduced by Pak Gejun. Tojo in fact has a coffee. How you call it? But I witnessed that it's all over China now. And now I asked Pak Gejun to import a coffee bean from Indonesia for their coffee machine all over China now. So that's for coffee. For frozen fish, what else? The other one, Padino?
Seafood.
Seafood. You have to understand.
Fruits, yeah. Fruits, seafood, and
fruits,
seafood.
There is explicit regulations on that because it has to go through the GACC. So it's better for them, the potential exporter, to get in touch with the Ministry of Trade in Indonesia and Ministry of Agriculture, in particular the quarantine directorate, and then the Ministry of Fisheries as well, because they have to follow the rules. Not an easy one. We are experiencing a long process of negotiations with the authorities here to enter the market of China. One other thing is to use the e-commerce platform as well. But based on the data that we have so far, our fruits and our seafood increased substantially as well to China. I just received the information just now. Let me read it to you. In fact, the total volume of trade between Indonesia and China until for the period of January till September 2021, already $85.3 billion. And our export increased by 59.7%. The amount is $42.8 billion. So I'm still optimistic that by the end of this year, we will hit 100 billion because it's already three months away and it's already hit $85.3 billion. And some of them coming from the food and beverages. Our food and beverages export to China increased by more than 100%.
Okay. Well, this also follows a question from Thomas Sartono, President of China-Indonesia Business Association. He says that Indonesian products are having more difficulty to enter China than Chinese products entering Indonesia. What can be done about it?
Dr. Dino,
Please.
I want to give some information. For these three products, I want to edit some information, such as the coffee. And in the year of the 2006, and leaded by CBC, we established the China ASEAN Coffee Industry Cooperation Committee. And because China, Yunnan provinces, they have the good amount in import amount of the coffee beans. And if from the Indonesia side, they have some requirements, so we can introduce about the Yunnan Industry Coffee Association, because Whole Good is a very famous brand of China. He's also the chairman of the Yunnan's Coffee Industry Association. So they are every year they will import and export a lot of the coffee bean and the coffee products. Yeah, and for the fruits, and a few months ago, Cambodia's embassy in China, they co-organized with our CBC and have this Cambodia mango entering in China in the June 1st, and we can introduce about the wholesale markets in China, because it's a very famous wholesale market is Xinfadi. I think that maybe Gejun or maybe very familiar with this name.
But Jennifer, for fruits, it's not that easy. We have to agree on the protocol first. After we agree on the protocols, then we can enter the market. That's not an easy thing, because from Indonesia only 4 tropical fruits can enter Chinese market, and we are negotiating for almost 3 years now for other fruits from Indonesia. So not an easy one that we understand the whole market. I already visited some of the fruit wholesale market here, and then of course they got it from banana from Laos, mangosteen from Indonesia and Thailand. But we are still negotiating some of the tropical fruits from Indonesia, and it's been 3 years. So not that easy, like establish a cooperation with one of the whole market here, and then we simply sending our fruits here. But thanks God that we already have we already agreed on the protocols for 4 items, 4 fruits from Indonesia. So of course, Indonesia, we have a lot of tropical fruits, but we have to go through the negotiating process first, reach the protocol first. That's the reason why I suggested the potential exporter to get in touch with the ministry concerned to understand the rules and regulations, and later on get in touch with us to understand as well rules and regulations in China.
Yeah, so it's the hard work for ambassador for Indonesian embassy in China, because you have to do a lot of work for promote this Indonesia fruit entering China. Thank you, ambassador.
Yeah. Don't worry, Jennifer. The ambassador is a professional singer. Whenever he wants to persuade people, he takes them to a good singing or karaoke, and he just mesmerizes people with his singing ability, right? Actually, your brother is a famous singer also, right, Pak Johari? So there's a question from Sevilla Leo Winata. Nicole De Jesus from the University of the Philippines. Maybe this is for Pak Gejun. Does China remain a good investment and business hub, given that there was a Evergrande real estate industry collapsing and problems with some big tech companies?
I think so. I'm very positive about the business environment here. The real estate collapsing, and also some high-tech companies, big ones, got hit. I don't think that's the real sort of policy change due to these incidents. These operations actually had real problems, and the government really wanted to start take care of those problems. Otherwise, it will become a larger problem. So there is a point where the government have to take some measures. Say, for example, the bigger high-tech companies, I think once they become so big, they start to monopolize the market, which will impact the interests of those small players and those consumers. And there's numerous complaints about the behaviors, and the government would have to take some actions. And the real estate company collapsed due to its uncontrolled sort of investments, expanded so rapidly, and they borrowed so much money from the bank, and certainly at some point they have to pay back. And I think that's why this large real estate company collapsed. But overall, I think the business environment is still good, and the foreign investments are extremely welcome by the local government, but in particular, central government sets policy, local government encourages and put measures in place to attract foreign investments. And as you can see, China is opening up more ports and more free trade zones, and the Hainan Island, say for example, the Big Bay Area, all these places where you see very good incentives, and you can certainly explore. I think I'm not miserable about the future. I'm very optimistic still.
Okay. Let me ask you a question about the co-prosperity strategy that President Xi Jinping is promoting, and I understand it's a huge thing in China. And I just came up from a seminar where they said that the CCP or the Chinese government, they don't care so much about the 5% of Chinese society as much as they do about the 95% of Chinese population, and they have to deliver to the 95% Chinese population and not the 5%. And I think this explains a number of the progressive distribution policies that you mentioned, including the recently announced property tax, right? And other things, right? So I want to ask you, this co-prosperity drive, this common prosperity drive, which is, I imagine, something new in Chinese economic policy. How is that going to affect China's economic landscape?
I think overall, China has gone through this development phases. Right now, you can see that there's an uneven distribution of wealth. The developed cities and the people have mastered resources, and they are expanding rapidly, and they are getting richer and richer. Where in less developed areas, people are still living in poor conditions, and that's a fact. And President Xi Jinping has this idea of lifting people out of poverty. And there's still a long way to go, even though they have met the minimum threshold, but there's still quite a big population base living under poor conditions. And this has to be dealt with. But I think the core wealth, or whatever you call it, policy is really about a long-term goal rather than a short-term strategy. And the long-term goal means you have to set the tone and then start to come up with policies where less developed regions and the people are getting more benefits of economic development. It's not a hard policy where you will see that all of a sudden business people's tax will be increased or business wealth will be redistributed quickly. I think this is a policy statement, and you will see moving forward, more resources will be channeled to those less developed regions. But I don't think our entrepreneurs and the people with wealth would have to be concerned that, okay, my property will be redistributed. That's not the case. Actually, there's a lot of comments about this, what the real meaning is about this policy, and I see a lot of very positive comments. People have to be rich, the nation or the country has to be rich first before you can distribute the wealth. If everybody is poor, after you start to redistribute, and the people got discouraged from innovation, discouraged from entrepreneurship, then there's no wealth to speak about to redistribute. So I think that's a long-term goal, and I don't see immediate impact actually on the business side.
Yes. Okay. Well, I can assure you that both in Indonesia and in China, redistribution is not a dirty word. In fact, it's a good word, right? We have only a few minutes left. I want to give the last question to Natanya from Kokol, Indonesia. She asks, does all product need to go through GACC to be exported to China, or is it only for selected goods? GACC is the General Administrations of Customs China. I'm sorry if this is a bit technical, but if you want to, anyone want to answer, go ahead.
Yeah, at least food and beverages, tropical fruits, seafood. So those products, in fact, we have to go through GACC customs here. They combine customs since 2018, customs and
inspection and the
quarantine. Yes. So that's become more sort of a lot of regulations you have to follow. So put it that way, not an easy thing. But just being informed that from January to September, our export of coffee to China increased by 35%. Our seafood only 5% due to the COVID cases, because we've been encountered with 54 cases of COVID seafood products to China since last year. So this is one of the things that we need to be resolved as well.
Yeah, let me just add one point on Joe's comment. I think, people have to understand, China is big and it has so many trade relations with so many countries in the world. And it's understandable that the country has to put in a lot of policies and regulations to basically make the business process in good order. I think that's understandable. Big country, huge volume, multi-layer trade agreements, all that, right? So my experience here is that, you have to be a little patient to spend some time to really focus on a particular sector and try to understand, pin down all the issues and the details, understand the nitty-gritties of the rules. And once you have gone through that, you master the rules, then you can easily, start the trading and the business in the country. And it's at the first glance, you will feel, wow, so much I have to know, it's so difficult. But if you find some reliable partner who can give you the advice, who can tell you, how to navigate the regulatory maze, it's still doable. And once you have gone through that, then, your business will continue and you will become successful. So my advice really is that, first, be a little patient to understand the rules and the regime, the regulation regime, understand, what can be done, what cannot be done, and then talk to some advisors, some local consultants, and then design a way for you to really enter the market. And once you have gone through that, I think business will become normal and easier. That's my advice.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank everybody for.
But may I have, at some points, I fully agree with Gejun. Find good partners. Number two, you have to understand the rules and regulation. Be patient with that. Number two is using the platform as well, because through platform you will understand a lot of information shared at that platform as well. Number three, this is in line with Jennifer Liu, because this is the things that we are doing as well. Go to the province that you think it will facilitate your work, because if you are talking about Guangdong is more than 100 million people, Shandong more than 100 million people, Shanghai. So go through the provinces. So make one or two provinces as your targeted provinces to enter the market in China, Fujian in particular, because many Indonesians, businessmen doing business through Fujian, Guangdong, Shanghai, Shandong. So and other provinces as well near Shanghai. So those three elements of entering the China market. And of course, here we have Indonesia-China Chamber of Commerce, consists of more than 200 Indonesian entrepreneurs that already existed here in China.
Good. Well, this has been fascinating. I wish I could extend this another half hour. I know I have people like Handi, founder of OmniHexa, or Ningbo asking questions, and then I have Kata Dasa also asking question, and then Sevilla, Leo Winata, Director of Brown and Leo Winata. But unfortunately, we have run out of time, and I think some of the comments from Ambassador Johari, from Jennifer, from Gejun has sort of enlightened the questions that you posed anyways. But I want to thank all three speakers, all four speakers for enlightening us with the topic of economic prospects and business opportunities in China. Thank you for all the answers, and I would encourage any Indonesian businesses to get in touch with Ambassador Johari, with Gejun. If you have a successful business model proven, and you want to try your luck in China and find a good business partner, please talk to Gejun. I've actually been to their headquarters. It's very impressive. They help a lot of people, and they know the local market very well. So they will grow with you. Yeah. Do take that advice. And Jennifer Liu, thank you so much again for your very insightful presentation and comments. I want to close by also letting everybody know that Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia will hold a global town hall. This is our annual event. Last year, it was attended by 83 countries, and 7 foreign ministers, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi, spoke at the global town hall to discuss COVID-19, world economic recovery, vaccines, geopolitics, technology, and many issues of importance. This will take place on the 20th of November. I urge all of you to join the Global Town Hall, where we hope President Joko Widodo and Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi will also grace the town hall. I'm going to close with that video and say thank you to everyone for joining this event. Thank you very much. Yeah. So Esther, play the video. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Adino. Another Dino to Dino.
Hello, Pak Dino.
Thank you, everybody. That was a very good discussion. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.